This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 320. If you can afford to spend it, you can afford to save it, by J Money of budgetsaresexy.com. And I am Dan, your daily narrator here on the show. Happy Friday to all of you. Hope your week has been a good one. And if you are new here, this is where I read to you every weekday from some of the best personal finance blogs out there. It's just like an audiobook with a bunch of different authors, and it's completely free of charge. And speaking of free, this podcast does still lose money every month. Not the best financial decision, but we like it. We think it's doing good in the world. So if you want to help us out and keep this going, please come by oldpodcast.com/support. There's a list of many different ways you can help, both financial and otherwise. For now, let's hear from J Money as we optimize your life. If you can afford to spend it, you can afford to save it, by J Money of budgetsaresexy.com. Quote, "Hey J Money, hope you're doing well. I've been a reader since at least 2010. Whoa, where does time go? I started out adulthood with a pretty rotten relationship with money. I came from a lower middle class family and never really learned at all how to handle money. At 17, I was the first person in my family to go to college and was highly encouraged by friends, family, even my school's financial aid office to finance my education with loans. Fast forward a few years, and I had $70,000 plus in student loans and a bunch of credit card debt, which I ended up paying off through a probably shady consolidation agreement. That was a few years ago, and I'm still learning how to realistically manage my money. I'm definitely guilty of lifestyle inflation. After being underpaid for years and really struggling to make ends meet, I've had about a 40% pay increase in the past few years, and almost no additional savings to show from it, despite simultaneously reducing my cost of living. Throughout these years, I've been on and off reader of Budgets Are Sexy. It's hard to read about personal finance when you just want to buy cute things and pretend the future will take care of itself, you know? Anyway, I've gained a lot of tips from you and from some other blogs, and would be in an even worse financial state if it weren't for you guys. Lately, I've really been wanting to save more. I don't have a healthy emergency fund, and since I'm making a steady amount, very temporary belt tightening can fund things I should be saving for, like vacations, minor car repairs, etc. It's hard to see the incentive to save when I am meeting my immediate needs and wants. By the way, I know on many levels why saving is extremely important. It's just hard to do. I have found a weird practice that has been helping me put a lot into savings the past few months. I'm a big online shopper. I often go online, fill my cart, and then decide whether or not I can afford the cost of it. Sometimes I decide no and don't make the purchase, and other times I decide yes. What I've been doing differently is that if I decide I can afford it and I don't really need the items, I immediately transfer that amount into my savings account instead of spending it. Light bulb moment. If I can afford to spend it, I can afford to save it. Whoa. This has revolutionized my savings life. Before this, I would sometimes decide not to make unnecessary purchases, but the savings was intangible or never happened because I'd just end up spending that money on something else. By immediately transferring over the $70 I didn't spend on throw pillows or $15 on takeout for lunch, I can see the immediate increase in my savings account. It's amazing. I feel like I finally get what I've been hearing and reading all these years from people who are natural savers. I'm probably not the first person to think of this, but I am pretty proud of thinking of it myself. Sorry for the long email, but I just wanted to share my small success with you since your blog has had such a big impact on me. Thanks for doing what you do. Becky." End quote. Such a beautiful note, isn't it? And not just because they said pretty things about me. Did you catch all the takeaways? If not, don't worry, I took notes. 1. More money does not automatically mean more savings. It doesn't matter how much you make, it matters how much you're spending. A $200,000 earner can be just as poor as a $20,000 one. 2. Lifestyle inflation is the devil. The reason those 200K people are poor? They keep increasing their lifestyle as their income grows. You can't build wealth that way. And who wants to keep needing to earn more to keep living? Now, on the plus side, it should be much easier for a 200K earner to cut back than a 20K earner, so the potential there is huge. 3. Saving doesn't count unless it's actually saved. If you buy a Ferrari for $300,000 on sale from $400,000, you aren't actually saving $100,000. All you did was spend $300,000. 4. It's important to know yourself. See all those things Becky was self-aware of in that note? Admitting to caving into lifestyle inflation, knowing she needs to be better about saving. Or my favorite, saying it's hard to read about finance when you just want to buy cute things and pretend the future will take care of itself. You have to be self-aware enough in order to make good change, There's no sense in lying to yourself about anything. 5. You have to keep experimenting until you find what works. This is why so many financial blogs exist, not because the information is any different, P.S., it's not, but because there are 1001 ways to get something done, and even more sometimes for it to sink in. We all figure it out at different stages in life, but we have to keep on trying new things until it finally clicks. 6. You don't have to be natural savers or investors to become good at it. It might be more frustrating or take longer if you suck. For example, I could get better at singing in the shower, but it's going to take me a lot longer to not make you cringe than my wife, who sings much nicer naturally. But at the end of the day, any of this stuff is doable, provided you want it badly enough. 7. And this leads us to my most favorite saying with money. You have to want it bad enough to get it. Everyone wants $1 million or to quit smoking or to shed 20 pounds and retire early in our youth. It's not like you don't know how to do that. It's just some people want it more than others and make sure to place it high on the priority list, probably after failing a few hundred times too. None of this is about learning how to be good with money. It's about getting ourselves to take action over and over and over again. And the only way to get yourself to do that is to really, really want it enough. Man, I love emails like this so much. The rawness gets me every time, especially when people aren't afraid to admit their failures so openly like that. Becky may not have had an easy start with things, but she's learning and adapting, and you know she's going to go far with that awareness she has with things. She was the first in her family to attend college, so she has the drive. Now it's just time to redirect it all back towards that money like she's working on, and I'm sure the next email we get from her will be even hotter. After all, she's already coining phrases. I think I'm going to have to steal that one from you, B Money. If you can afford to spend it, you can afford to save it. You just listened to the post titled, If You Can Afford to Spend It, You Can Afford to Save It by J Money of budgetsaresexy.com. And J Money actually narrated his own post for the special week of the 500th episode of Optimal Living Daily. So definitely check that out. It is a very funny post. That's episode 503 of Optimal Living Daily. And I'll keep this ending nice and short for you on this Friday, but I'll quickly mention if you do want to help keep this podcast going, please come by oldpodcast.com/support, where you can find a bunch of different ways that you can help us keep this thing going. And that's it for today. Thanks for listening today and every day, and have a great weekend. I'll catch you all on Monday, same time, same place, where your optimal life awaits.
Hello, Life Optimizer. This is Justin Malik, creator and producer of this podcast, but also Optimal Living Daily, the show where I read to you from even more blogs covering finance, productivity, minimalism, personal development, and more from incredible bloggers like Derek Sivers, Zen Habits, Mark and Angel, The Minimalists, and all the ones you hear on this show too. So if you enjoyed today's episode and like taking amazing blogs on the go, come on over to Optimal Living Daily and subscribe to that one too. And together, we'll start optimizing your life.
You've been listening to Optimal Finance Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode, and head to oldpodcast.com, that's OLDpodcast.com, for a free gift as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.